Hey guys, welcome to video number 28. We're going to shift gears and start talking about bipolar transistors again. Today we're going to discuss dynamic emitter resistance and take a look at a couple of new small signal models for the transistor. Let's start with some review. We've been mainly dealing with NPN transistors and we're going to continue along those lines. The active region model we've been using so far is this simple linear model. And one of the main relationships here is IC equals beta times IB. We've also been assuming that the emitter current is approximately the same as the collector current. Now, over on the right-hand side here, I've got some collector curves for typical low-power general-purpose transistors like the 2N3904 or similar. Remember, there were three regions of operation. If our Q point was located down on this bottom curve where IB equals 0, the transistor is in cutoff. If the Q point happens to be located somewhere on the vertical portions of these curves, the transistor is in saturation. And if the Q point's located anywhere else in the first quadrant, we're in the active region. In the active region, the collector behaves like a dependent current source. And the internal resistance of that current source we're designating as R sub O. That is given approximately by V sub A, the early voltage, divided by ICQ. And sometimes we'll call that little R sub CE as well. Now, if you remember, the early voltage is obtained by projecting the collector curves back until they intersect at a common point on the VCE axis. That's called the early voltage, actually the negative early voltage. And for a typical transistor like a 2N3904, it's around negative 100 volts. It's not listed in the data sheet, so if you really need to use it, you got to do a little bit of work, but we can estimate it as being 100 volts, and that's good enough for most applications. All right, now the model we're looking at here is great for determining Q point values and DC stuff. But when you're going to use the transistor as an amplifier, we have to go to a little bit more sophisticated model, and that's what we're going to take a look at next. All right, this is going to be a nonlinear model of the transistor, and it's based on Shockley's equation. Now, if you remember, we talked about Shockley's equation way back at the beginning of the video series when we discussed diodes, and we had I sub D, the diode current, is approximately equal to I sub S, diode saturation or leakage current, times E to the V sub AK, the anode to cathode bias voltage, divided by eta times VT. Now, if you don't remember this stuff, I don't blame you. It's been a while, and we're going to review it now. All right, so again, I sub S is the diode leakage current. It's usually quite small, 1 nanoamp or less very often. It's very temperature sensitive too, and that can be a problem, but moving on. Eta is called the emission coefficient, and it varies between 1 and 2. Usually we're just going to pretend it's 1 and let it go. If we need to take a little bit more accurate guess, 1.5 works. It's not given on the data sheet, so if you really need to know it, you've got some work to do. All right, V sub T is the thermal equivalent voltage. It's got its own formula here. V sub T equals K times T over Q. K is Boltzmann's constant. Q is the charge on an electron, and T is absolute temperature. Now, fortunately for us, at typical operating temperatures, V sub T is usually about 26 millivolts, and we're going to let it go at that unless we have some really extreme temperature conditions to worry about. All right, remember we're also assuming the barrier potential, V sub phi, is about 0.7 volts for silicon devices and 0.3 volts for germanium. Okay, now I left the diode symbol in this model because I wanted to emphasize the relationship to Shockley's equation, but when we use this model in a small signal amplifier, we're going to replace the diode with what's called its dynamic resistance, and that's what we'll talk about next. Okay, the dynamic resistance of the base emitter junction for a transistor is designated as little r sub e. We use a lowercase r because it's internal to the transistor and it changes with the Q point. All right, now to get an idea what this is, if we come down and look at this diode transconductance curve, okay, for some transistor, we have a Q point, and that Q point is located at some VBE, we'll call VBEQ. Now, VBEQ is approximately equal to the normal barrier potential assumption of, say, 0.7 volts, and that's relatively true over a wide range of collector currents, okay? The reason being is even though ICQ can vary widely, the Q point hardly moves at all on the VBE axis, maybe plus or minus 10 or 20 millivolts, typically at most. So estimating VBEQ as V sub phi is usually accurate enough. All right, now if we were to draw a tangent line to the curve at this Q point and take its reciprocal, we would have little r sub e. Analytically, we would find that by finding the derivative of VBE with respect to IC in Shockley's equation. We're not going to do that. We'll just use the results, which are little r sub e is about equal to eta times VT over ICQ. And you'd use that if you have an estimate of what eta is. Most of the time, we'll just assume it's equal to 1 and use the simplified version. Little re is approximately VT over ICQ. And remember, V sub t is typically about 26 millivolts. All right, now let's come over here and look at the model of the transistor with little re substituted in for the diode. All right, now notice that the collector current I sub c is the instantaneous value, and I'm defining that as the quiescent collector current ICQ plus a time-varying collector current I sub little c. All right, I'm using that notation on all of these currents where the capitalization or not of the subscript determines whether we're dealing with the overall collector current or the instantaneous AC collector current. I know this is very complicated and it's hard to absorb, but I promise it'll make some sense. All right, but in any case, what's happening here is that we're biasing the transistor up and establishing a Q point somewhere on its transconductance curve, and that value of current is represented by ICQ, IEQ, or IBQ as the case may be. All right, when we use it as an amplifier, we're going to cause this Q point to move, and that represents the AC variation that we see added to the Q point value. All right, a lot to absorb. Hang in there, okay? Let's take a look at an actual circuit here. All right, now what we've got is a transistor with a fixed base bias from a 5-volt source through 100K ohm load, and we're going to determine the values for this active region model, little r sub e and little r sub o. All right, so let's find our Q point. Remember, for this circuit, we first find the base current, and I sub b is equal to VBB minus VBE divided by RB. All right, so let's pull up our calculator, and we've got VBB of 5 volts minus 0.7 is 4.3 divided by 100K, which gives us 43 microamps. Okay, so we've got 43 microamps. We really don't care about the base current. What we care about is ICQ, which equals beta times the base current. All right, so 100 times 43 microamps is 4.3 milliamps, and we might as well find VCEQ as well. So let me write this up here. ICQ equals 4.3 milliamps. Then VCEQ would equal VCC minus IC times RC. 4.3 milliamps times 1 k ohm is 4.3 volts. 10 minus 4.3 is 5.7 volts. So there's our Q point, 4.3 milliamps, 5.7 volts. All right, but now we need to find little re, and we know that little re is approximately equal to V sub t over ICQ. All right, so that's 26 millivolts divided by 4.3 milliamps. And let's call up our calculator. 26 divided by 4.3 is about 6 ohms. All right, so our little re is approximately 6 ohms for this transistor. I'll write that right here, 6 ohms. Generally, this is going to be a pretty small value, maybe in the tens of ohms or less. All right, let's find R sub O now. Remember, we're assuming V sub A is 100. So little r O is equal to V sub A over ICQ. So that's going to be 100 volts divided by 0.0043, which is about 23.3 k ohms. 23.3 k ohms, right? All right, so that's not infinite, but it's a fairly high resistance, at least compared to the collector resistor or little re. So there we go. That is the small signal model for this transistor if we're going to use it as an amplifier. We've got a little re of 6 ohms, a little r sub O of 23 k ohms roughly, and there you go. Now let's do another one just to kind of solidify this stuff. All right, this is the homework problem from video number 17 where we did voltage divider biasing. All right, this transistor has a beta of 100. We're assuming it's silicon, early voltage is 100, and V sub t is 26 millivolts. All right, so to analyze this one, we have to find the Thevenin voltage of the base voltage divider network. So recall V sub th was equal to VCC times R2 over R1 plus R2. All right, so let's see what that comes out to be. We've got R2 is 2.2K divided by 10 plus 2.2 is 12.2 times 12 volts gives us a VTH of about 2.16 volts. 2.16 volts. All right, now we'll find 2.16 volts. We'll find RTH, which equals R1 in parallel with R2. All right, so again, pulling up the calculator, R1 is 10K plus 2.2K, and it's about 1.8 K ohms. All right, so let's write that here, 1.8 K ohms. All right, now we can find our collector current, ICQ, which equals VTH minus VBE divided by RTH over beta plus our emitter resistor. Okay, well, let's see what we've got here. VTH is 2.16 minus 0.7 is 1.46. All right, and that's divided by 1500 plus RTH is 1800 divided by 100 is 18, and that gives us 962 microamps. All right, so we're at about 962 microamps. Let me write that up here a little neater. 962 microamps. We could call that 1 milliamp if we wanted to. Okay, now let me clear out some of this clutter here. Okay, and we'll figure out the rest of these Q point values, and then we'll find our active region model values. All right, so now VCEQ we know is equal to VCC minus ICQ times RC plus RE. All right, so let's see what we've got here. Let's just call this 1 milliamp, okay, just to make things easy. That's about 1 milliamp. So we've got VCC is 12 minus, let's see, 5600 plus 1500 times 0.001, and we get about 4.9 volts. 4.9 volts. VCE cutoff is 12 volts, and IC sat, if you recall, IC in saturation equals VCC over RC plus RE. A little bit of review for us here. All right, so that's going to be 12 divided by 5600 plus 1500, about 1.7 milliamps. All right, and I'll write that in here, 1.7 milliamps. So here's your answer to that homework problem I gave you guys. Now let's go over and finish up by determining little re and little r sub o. All right, so little re is equal to 26 millivolts over ICQ, which is about 1 milliamp. So little re is about 26 ohms for this circuit. All right, our effective output resistance, or resistance of that current source, little RO, is V sub A over ICQ, and that is going to be 100 divided by 1 milliamp, and I should have thought about that. Second E -3, where's my -3, is 100 k ohms. All right, that makes sense, 100 k ohms. So there we are, 100 k ohms. And there's our small signal model for this transistor. We could fill in the rest of these values based on VTH, RTH, and so on. But there you go. Now, I know this isn't very meaningful at this point. You know, we're going to have to actually analyze some amplifiers for this stuff to really make sense. So for right now, we're just figuring out how to fill in the values for the model. We'll learn how it applies in some upcoming videos. And that's all I've got for you today. Hang in there. I know this stuff is very abstract, but it'll all come together really nice soon enough, I promise. And I'll see you guys in the next video.